Right now at 10, an indoor mask mandate returns to San Luis Obispo County as COVID numbers climb higher than ever in the month of August. Santa Barbara County employees must get vaccinated or take a weekly COVID test. Supervisors make the decision after impassioned public comment. And locals stand ready to help with Hurricane Ida recovery. 20 minutes of non-stop news and weather starts right now.
Now, with coverage from wherever you are, this is Fox 11 News live at 10.
Good evening, I'm Scott Hennessy. At midnight tonight, an indoor mask mandate will return to San Luis Obispo County. Similar rules are already in effect in Santa Barbara and Ventura counties. Fox 11's Karen Cruz Orduña has more on what we learned late this afternoon.
Soon, masks will be required at all indoor locations in SLO County, regardless of vaccination status. This comes after the rise of hospitalization due to the Delta variant.
Unfortunately, the surge has continued to accelerate with respect to COVID-19 cases.
Public Health says hospitals are facing extreme demands on capacity. Currently, 78 people are hospitalized. 20 of them are in the intensive care unit.
These numbers supersede anything that we have seen in this pandemic, including in our winter surge.
In just August, there were over 3,500 cases. 18 deaths have been reported, in comparison to 163 cases and no deaths in June. Beyond indoor masking, Public Health says there are other ways to protect yourselves from COVID.
Masking, of course, is not the only tool for prevention of this disease. Vaccination continues to be the key tool, the best way that we can get past this disease.
CEO of Tenant Health Central Coast says COVID-19 is serious.
This is real. This is the worst that we've seen so far. The virus doesn't care how you vote. The virus doesn't take its cues from social media. And the virus doesn't engage in conspiracy theory. The virus knows that it wants to live.
County officials say breakthrough cases among vaccinated people have increased but remain low. The order goes into effect 1 minute after midnight. In San Luis Obispo, Karen Cruz Orduña, Fox 11 News.
A big decision for Santa Barbara County supervisors tonight. With the Delta variant rapidly spreading, they voted to require all county employees to be vaccinated or face COVID testing on a regular basis. Fox 11's John Palmentary was there for hours of public comment and the final vote.
The county asked last week for the latest numbers, and even up until today's hearing, the data was moving. As of the PowerPoint presentation turned in Friday, 49.3% of county employees had the total vaccine and 37% were unknown. During the current meeting, the county human resources director said she could bring those numbers up to the current timeline for the most accurate figures to the Board of Supervisors.
Those percentages are now, total vax is now 59% verified, vaccine verified, 10.6% tested, and 34.4 unknown.
The county has been deciding whether it should have a mandatory vaccination requirement for its employees or either a vaccination and a choice to present negative test results or leave everything as it is. Some employees have told the board if the decision is only a mandatory test as a condition of employment, they may leave their job. Overall, in the general public, Santa Barbara County has reported 64.9% of the eligible population have received their vaccination, but 134,714, or about 1 in 3, have yet to get the vaccine.
Supervisor Hart?
Aye.
Supervisor Hartman?
Aye.
Chair Nelson?
No.
Motion passes 4-1.
After all sides were heard, the board voted 4-1 to have mandatory vaccinations or testing, but not before Supervisor Bob Nelson gave a dissenting view.
And we all know that we can't continue what we're doing with masks and restrictions. At some point, we're going to have to find other mitigation measures so life can go on, so our kids can be educated. So those are my concerns.
John Palmentary, Fox 11 News.
You'll need more than just a ticket to see a show at the Santa Barbara Bowl. The music venue just added new COVID-19 safety measures. People will need to show proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test. The added vaccine requirement or negative test is to ensure safety, and some acts may be even stricter, requiring a negative test within 48 hours.
A big deal for us this last week to have the community back in the venue and share performances with Santa Barbara again. And I think each one of these steps is going to go a long way to creating a safe environment so we can do the rest of this season and beyond.
The next show is Jackson Browne. Jackson Browne's band, one of the bands requiring more than the Santa Barbara Bowl. The band will require everyone to wear a K94 mask during the show and will provide masks for those who don't have one. Across the country, there are nearly 130,000 new daily coronavirus cases and more than 100,000 people in the hospital. As the fourth wave of the pandemic intensifies, hospitals and healthcare workers are under enormous pressure, prompting more governments to tighten restrictions. As Skylar Henry reports, the new mandates come just ahead of flu season.
I can't do it anymore. I just can't.
Nurse Amber Rampey has been working in the COVID unit at Northeast Georgia Medical Center for the past 20 months. She thought the worst of the pandemic was behind her.
And although I'm used to people dying, I'm just not used to this many dying.
Her hospital is now treating patients in the hallways and inside ambulances because the ICU beds are filled. Next door, Florida is leading the nation with nearly 11 new COVID deaths every hour. And now health experts are warning about a potential twindemic during the upcoming flu season. In an average year, the flu causes 30,000 to 60,000 deaths, 300,000 to 600,000 hospitalizations, and 10 to 15 million doctor visits.
So you couple that with COVID-19 and it can really strain the system. And then there's the fact we don't know what happens when you get both. Is it a double whammy and getting people more sick? So we certainly are afraid.
As the latest surge intensifies, more governments are imposing tougher restrictions, hoping to slow the spread of the virus and ease some of the pressure off of the nation's healthcare system.
Pennsylvania has issued a mask mandate for all K-12 schools. Healthcare workers in Colorado must be vaccinated by the end of October at the condition of employment. Skylar Henry, Washington.
The death toll from Hurricane Ida has risen to 4. More than 1 million people in the region are still without power and could be for weeks. Jason Allen reports from LaPlace, Louisiana.
Aerial footage shows the extent of the damage over Grand Isle, Louisiana as a result of Hurricane Ida. 165-mile-an-hour winds and nearly a foot of rain shredded the island. A power station was blown to pieces.
The schools are not open, the businesses are not open, the hospitals are slammed. There's not water in your home and there's not going to be electricity.
The storm caused severe devastation throughout the region, piercing the roofs of homes like this one.
You never know what you're going to come back to, but it's better to be safe than sorry.
Customers all along southeast Louisiana, mostly in New Orleans, are still without power, where a nighttime curfew is now in effect.
Now is not the time to return home. We have very limited capacity here.
In some of the neighborhoods that are still flooded, the water is starting to drop, but very, very slowly. All of that making it much more difficult to get around and to get started with that cleanup process that they know could take weeks.
After weathering the storm away from home, Joe Corona returned to check on his New Orleans auto business, which suffered major damage.
Been here a long time, and just gonna figure a way to get through it.
In southern Mississippi, Ida left nearly 60,000 customers in the dark, and fast flooding caught many by surprise.
I have lived out here 30 years, and I've never seen it this bad.
With temperatures climbing, the Biden administration says FEMA is staging more than 200 generators in the region as thousands of linemen help restore power. Jason Allen, Ploss, Louisiana.
The hurricane hits home for some locals with Louisiana roots. Fox 11's Tracy Lair has their reaction to Ida and plans to help.
Jambalaya, gumbo, etouffee.
The owner of the Big Easy Catering Company is known for making all those dishes in Santa Barbara and had a road trip planned to see the New Orleans Saints play the Packers.
Still gonna go.
The Louisiana native now plans to bring some generators.
We're gonna do a road trip back, but when we get there, we're just gonna have to wait and see what they need, because right now what they really need is electricity.
He helped during Katrina too, and when Ida hit, he called his friend Al Sauser, who owns the Deja Vu restaurant and bar in the French Quarter.
The French Quarter will be a big priority because it's like Santa Barbara. we make our money on tourists.
Salzer, a film producer and businessman, lives on a boat in Santa Barbara's harbor during hurricane season. He says deja vu and his employees survived.
It's kind of happened to me before, but the prospect of a Category 4 was rather scary, and it only hit about 35, 40 miles the eye passed from my boathouse, and I live in front of the levees.
He plans to return when electricity is back on. Both men recommend donating to Santa Barbara-based Direct Relief and the Red Cross.
Red Cross can't go wrong with them. What's happened is fairly devastating, and it's going to take us a while to get over it.
You'll find a link to Direct Relief and the Red Cross on our mobile app and website. In Santa Barbara, Tracy Lair, Fox 11 News.
All right, let's get a check on our weather now with Chief Meteorologist Kelsey Gerkins in the First Alert Weather Center.
Hi there, Scott. Keeping a really close eye on Ida tonight, and it is really still bringing a lot of damage now heading towards really the East Coast. You can see here what is left of Ida is still a dynamic storm system. Not only is it bringing flooding, a half foot of rain coming down in some areas here, but we're also seeing those severe storms heading towards Washington and going to be making their way towards New York as we head into tomorrow's forecast. So give you a closer look at the path that Ida is taking. Now here is what is left of Ida. And this is the area where we are going to be seeing that really heavy rain potential as you see those outer bars coming on through the area. But as it makes its way all the way to the East Coast heading into tomorrow, this area of red is where we are expecting to see significant flooding. So this storm is really a dynamic storm that is bringing so many hazards out there, and this is not only continuing tomorrow but into Thursday as well. Now here locally we're in a really nice calm pattern, a lot of that marine layer moving in tonight. I'll talk more about that in a couple minutes, but for now, back over to you, Scott.
Thank you, Kelsey. The State Department says it has been in contact with some of the Americans still in Afghanistan. Natalie Brand reports it comes as the administration also vets tens of thousands of Afghan refugees.
President Biden addressed the nation less than 24 hours after the last U.S. soldier, Major General Chris Donahue, left Afghanistan, ending a 2 decades-long war.
I was not going to extend this forever war, and I was not extending a forever exit.
The president says military commanders on the ground advised that ending the mission as planned was the best way to protect the lives of U.S. troops.
For any soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine and their family, your service mattered and was not in vain.
The administration estimates more than 122,000 people were evacuated, while around 300 Americans remain in Afghanistan.
Americans need to be able to be brought home. This cannot be our history.
There is not an end to our commitment to American citizens who are in Afghanistan who want to leave.
The State Department has moved diplomatic operations from Kabul to Doha, Qatar. Critics of the complete withdrawal from Afghanistan worry that it will impede the U.S.'s ability to collect intelligence and protect against future threats.
We can strike terrorists and targets without American boots on the ground.
U.S. law enforcement officials confirmed to CBS News the Department of Homeland Security has issued warnings that extremists could seek to exploit the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. DHS has deployed staff to assist in vetting the tens of thousands of Afghan allies arriving to the U.S. Natalie Brand, the White House.
A dog handler, an expert criminalist, and 2 investigators took the stand today at the Paul Flores preliminary hearing. Flores is charged with the 1996 murder of Cal Poly student Kristen Smart. Fox 11's Dave Alley spent the day in court, and he has a recap of today's very busy proceeding.
Unlike the past couple of weeks where there's been more delays in actual testimony, different story on Tuesday, a rare full day in court, starting right on time at 9 a.m. and lasting all the way through the designated end time at 4:30. 2 witnesses on the stand in the morning. First, a human remains detection dog handler involved in the June 29, 1996 search for Smart on the Cal Poly campus. He detailed how his dog showed great interest to a Santa Lucia Hall dormitory window from the outside. Then once inside the hall, the dog went straight to room 128, providing the handler with a strong response. The dog then proceeded to fixate on the left side of the room, particularly the bed and the mattress, that room as well as the left side of it. That's where Paul Flores lived at the time Smart disappeared. We then heard from a Sacramento County criminalist, an expert in the fields of forensics and trace evidence, specifically talking about fibers she examined that were sent to her by the San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Office. The fibers were said to have been taken from soil, although it was never announced from what location. Then for more than an hour, James Camp, an investigator for the DA's office, was on the stand, talking about his work on the case over the past few months. But right at the end of the day, it's where it got dramatic. Sheriff's investigator Clint Cole on the stand, speaking about a search warrant he served at the home of Ruben Flores, Paul's father. That took place May 19th of this year. Cole was there to obtain a DNA sample from Ruben Flores. Cole said while Ruben Flores was reading the warrant, Flores asked why Susan Flores, Paul's mother, and her boyfriend Mike McConville were mentioned on it. Cole quoted Ruben as saying, quote, "They did not commit a felony. Only I did," end quote. Cole added that Ruben quickly caught himself and restated, "I am the only one who has been arrested." The day ended before prosecution questioning and defense cross-examination of Cole concluded. Court will resume back here on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., presumably with Cole returning to the witness stand. Reporting in San Luis Obispo, Dave Valley, Fox 11 News.
The Santa Barbara man accused of killing his 2 children in Mexico is now scheduled to be in court on September 9th. Matthew Taylor Coleman was originally supposed to have his arraignment today. He's charged with brutally killing his 2 young children in Mexico earlier this month. Investigators say he claimed he killed the children because they were growing into monsters. He told investigators he was enlightened by QAnon and Illuminati conspiracy theories. More evacuations go into effect as the Caldor fire seriously threatens mountain towns surrounding Lake Tahoe. The fire has burned more than 191,000 acres and destroyed hundreds of structures. Right now it's 16% contained. The massive blaze rapidly expanded Monday, forcing all of South Lake Tahoe to evacuate. Thousands of residents and tourists were stopped in gridlock traffic as they tried to flee. The fire's speed is catching many off guard.
If there was ever a fire around here, it's going to be bad, and sure enough, it's not good right now.
Dead trees and dangerously dry conditions fuel the flames, and fire managers fear the situation could get worse with extreme heat and strong winds in the forecast. The conditions have prompted red flag warnings through Wednesday. The U.S. Forest Service has closed public access to all forest lands across the state and here in our area due to the high fire danger. No one is allowed inside the Los Padres National Forest, which stretches across 5 counties for recreational purposes for at least 2 weeks. People we spoke with who live along or inside the forest boundary welcome the closure.
With the fire danger right now, that's a good idea. We got a lot of hot weather coming and the wind's blowing and a little spark will set it off. It'll be terrible if that would happen. And even the sparks from an automobile can set it off.
I can water the plants all I want, I can water the trees all I want, but no matter what, this whole mountainside is dry and ready to be burnt down to the ground.
Notices of the U.S. Forest Service closure, which took effect today, are posted at trailheads and campground sites. If you're caught violating the closure order, you could face fines of up to $5,000. We've been talking about these fires up north for weeks now. Kelsey, the smoke is still an issue around a lot of the West.
Yeah, in our local area, we see some of the most minimal smoke in the entire area, but we are still having moderate air quality out there. As you can see at this map, really not showing much smoke here locally, but up north where these fires are burning, that's where there's that extremely dense smoke. This is the Caldor fire, and you can see just how close it is really inched to the lake there. South Lake Tahoe now really impacted by not only the smoke, but the flames at this hour. As we take a closer look at the smoke, we are seeing just light amounts here along the Central Coast, but up where the fires are active, that's where they have that extremely dense hazardous smoke. Hazardous smoke means you do not want to be outside at all, and if you are, you want that N95 mask on. Now, for our area, we're just seeing this light smoke throughout the area, and the advice that the health department has given out is for people that are very sensitive to poor air quality. When we have that moderate air quality status, to kind of limit your time outdoors. Healthy people should not be impacted, but just be cautious as we do still have some smoke out there. Now, looking ahead, we are going to be seeing cooler cooler conditions for tomorrow. We have this area of low pressure to our north, and then we have an area of low pressure just off of our coast. So this is bringing cooler temperatures, especially for our inland spots. Now, as we take a look at this area of low pressure to our south, this is bringing in that really deep marine layer that is building here at this hour. Heading into Thursday's forecast, things level off a little bit. You can see how that jet stream starts to flow nicely, and we'll start to get that morning cloud cover, afternoon sunshine back in the forecast area. And by the weekend, that ridge of high pressure I'm keeping an eye on will start inching on over. We'll see a very mild warming trend going into your weekend forecast with more sunshine back in the picture. But for tomorrow, that marine layer is thick. In fact, there's a chance it's thick enough that we could even see a little bit of precipitation kind of pop out of it. Heading into your noon hour, lunch hour, the coastal spots still holding on to that cloud cover. But if you are just a little bit inland, that's when you'll start to see that sunshine. Most local spots should see sunshine as we head into those afternoon hours. Now, Thursday, the cloud cover is not as thick. It is there along the central coast, but not so much the case for the south coast. San Ynez Valley waking up with that fog, but you can see a lot more sunshine as we head into your Thursday afternoon. So breaking down tomorrow's forecast in Santa Barbara, you start off the morning in the mid-60s. Kind of chilly out there, at least for this area. Grab that jacket as you're heading out the door. Going into the afternoon, though, upper 70s. It does get warm. Still seeing some cloud cover out there even at that hour, though. And then as we get into those evening hours, you're at 72 degrees. Here's looking at your forecast in Santa Maria. You can see as you get into the afternoon, low 70s there. Really comfortable day. High temperature in Lompoc at 71, 73 there for Orcutt. The San Ynez Valley is going to be enjoying some low to mid 80s, while San Luis Obispo County is a little below normal for this time of year with slow hitting 76. Down into the Santa Barbara South Coast, it's low to mid 70s there. So as we take a look at your full 7-day forecast, Santa Maria, you can see it's mid 70s by the weekend. There's that gradual warming trend. Here's your forecast in Santa Barbara. You're getting up to 80 there on Sunday with more sunshine. So everybody can expect a very light to gradual warming trend over the next several days. Back over to you, Scott.
All righty. Thank you, Kelsey. That's 21 minutes of nonstop news and weather to start tonight's hour-long newscast. Still to come, the Santa Maria Cemetery is expanding. Why city leaders say the project is coming at a critical time. Plus, addressing homelessness, the new programs being funded and what Santa Barbara County supervisors say needs to be done to help combat the issue. And a deal is reached to save a pristine piece of land above Summerlin's. We'll have details on that next.